I was born into betrayal. My father, Vlad Dracula, ruled Wallachia under the banner of the dragon, a symbol of power, a symbol of strength, but symbols mean nothing to men who crave control. The nobles, the boyars, smiled in his presence and whispered behind his back. They bowed to him in the daylight and plotted against him in the dark. I was just a boy when they took everything from me. My home, my family, my freedom. I was dragged away, not as a guest, not as an envoy, but as a hostage, shipped off like a bargaining piece to the Ottomans, where my fate was no longer my own. A prisoner, in all but name. The Sultan, Murad, and his son, Mehmed, claimed it was an honor, a chance to be educated in the ways of the greatest empire in the world. A lie. They sought to break me, to mold me into a tool for their wars, a loyal servant of their empire. And so they trained me, mercilessly. Days filled with swordplay, horsemanship, strategy. Nights spent memorizing their language, their customs, their politics. They taught me how to bow, when to kneel, how to kill. And for years I obeyed. But obedience is not loyalty. They thought I was theirs. They thought I had no choice but to become like them. The Sultan, Murad, and his son, Mehmed, claimed it was an honor, a chance to be educated in the ways of the greatest empire in the world. A lie. They sought to break me, to mold me into a tool for their wars, a loyal servant of their empire. And so they trained me, mercilessly. Days filled with swordplay, horsemanship, strategy. Nights spent memorizing their language, their customs, their politics. They taught me how to bow, when to kneel, how to kill. And for years I obeyed. But obedience is not loyalty. They thought I was theirs. They thought I had no choice but to become like them. But they never looked into my eyes, never saw the fire that burned there, the hatred, the promise. I would endure, I would survive, and one day I would return. I was not alone. My younger brother Radu was with me. But where I resisted, he yielded. He bent the knee, whispered in the Sultan's ear, became his favored one, his beloved one. I watched him. I watched him betray everything we were. He became their pawn, their dog, their puppet. I never forgave him for that, and I never will. Years passed, and fate brought me home. My father was dead. My elder brother Mercy murdered, blinded, buried alive. His screams silenced by the dirt they shoveled upon him. And the throne of Wallachia, stolen, stained with the blood of my kin. When I returned, I did not find a kingdom. I found a carcass. The boyars feasted on its remains, fattened by their greed, growing drunk off power, while my people suffered. I was expected to be another weak ruler, another puppet, another corpse to be discarded when convenient. I would not allow it. They call me Vlad the Impaler now. A monster, a butcher, a demon in human form. But tell me, what does a ruler do when his enemies surround him? When his own nobles sharpen their daggers behind his back? When an empire waits at his doorstep, salivating at the thought of swallowing his land whole? Do you show them kindness? Do you trust in their mercy? Or do you show them fear? I chose fear. My first act as ruler, justice. The same nobles who betrayed my father were summoned. They arrived in their finest robes, their jewels gleaming, their lips curled in smug contempt. They thought I would beg for their approval. They thought I needed them. They thought wrong. They were seized, every last one. Some I impaled that very day. Others I spared, if one can call it that. They were given a fate more fitting, shackled and marched to the mountains, forced to build my fortress with their bare hands. Those too weak to lift the stone were left where they fell, their bones becoming part of the very walls they labored to erect. And the thieves, the criminals, the traitors. I made them examples. The roads of my land became lined with stakes, each carrying a warning, each a lesson carved into the flesh of those who would defy order. And when the Ottoman Empire sent an army 100,000 strong to take my land, to reclaim their wayward son, they found my message waiting for them. A forest of the dead. 20,000 impaled bodies stretched for miles. A wall of corpses swaying in the wind, rotting under the sun, their hollowed eyes staring into the abyss. Their generals wept. Their soldiers trembled. Their great sultan, Mehmed II, the Conqueror of Constantinople himself, turned back in horror. Because for the first time, they were afraid. Some say I went too far, that I became the very monster I swore to destroy. Perhaps. But tell me, if you were in my place, what would you have done?